Well, welcome everybody. Here we are, the first Sunday of 2026. My goodness, it's going quick. I'm going to dust off a teaching I had as a part of my original forgiveness class many years ago. But because of its length, I took it out of the class. But it's a study of a particular wonderful chapter in how God works with people. And it's about Joseph. And it has a lot of scriptures. It's 13 chapters about his story. And it starts to be, you start to see the development of the 12 tribes that become the 12 tribes of Israel. That there's 12 brothers, and like in many families, it doesn't always go well between brothers and sisters. And Joseph didn't make it very easy either, because he didn't know in his youth quite the repercussions of what he said about the dreams that he was having. And the brothers were getting pretty offended at it. Even this dad became, what are you talking about me? But it is a wonderful story of the growth that Joseph had and the forgiveness that he had in his heart toward the things that his brothers did to him. So Joseph was born in Jacob, his dad's old age. So he became a kind of a favorite son. And there was another one that came up behind him. But Joseph was so favored that his dad gave him a special coat. It's called the coat of many colors. And if you ever see the play Joseph, it's a song about the coat of many colors. But it was an indication of the blessings that his dad bestows upon his favored son. And of course, this even more infuriated his other brothers, especially the older ones who were supposed to be more favored in that culture. So Joseph was going to be blessed by God in these visions that he was being given. And we're going to go through a lot of this. There's going to be a lot of the reading of the scriptures that we're going to see. But I think you're going to be able to see the correlation of the life of Joseph and what Jesus Christ was able to show when he walked upon the earth. It's actually an example of the coming Christ and the things that he would endure himself and the deliverance that Joseph was able to give to his family. So the only thing that I've had in my life that is anything like this experience, I was pretty young. I was in my mid-20s, and I had been called back to the training center that I was originally went through in Ohio. And when I went back, it was a sabbatical year. And so my job was, one of my jobs was I was a flight attendant, the first flight attendant on the big blue airplane called Ambassador One. I had my dark blue suit, I had my name tag, I had my wings, and I was the one that was giving out coffee and snacks, all the other things that a flight attendant does. And so that was great. I enjoyed it. I got to travel all around the United States. And when we were on the ground, I got to do other work. But that was an exciting time for me. We had just got this big airplane, put it into service. And of course, that first year was used a lot so that we would understand the benefits of it. After that first year, I didn't know what I was going to be doing, going back out in the field or whatever else. But I was assigned back to stay at headquarters at this location. And I ended up staying there 10 years. And that's when I got to know a lot of wonderful people. But I was also given a different job assignment. I was no longer the flight attendant for Ambassador One, which is kind of the low position in the flight services department. You know, you got your pilots and then you got your mechanics and all these other people involved, and I give out coffee. But my job assignment was changed where I was placed on the president's cabinet, which there were maybe 10 people in that, and they had different departments underneath them to administer. And one of those departments was the flight services department. So where I was the lowest person on the pecking order of that department, now I was responsible for the whole department. That's quite a jump. But it was one of the great privileges of my life to be able to do that. I certainly walked into that responsibility, having a greater understanding of how that department is supposed to run. So, but overnight, it all changed. So let's see what happened to Joseph. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. It says, now Israel, and that is the name that God gave Jacob. Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. I can just see this happening. There's not one thing that Joseph could do right. He was being criticized for every word that came out of his mouth. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brothers, and they hated him yet more. And he said to them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. Or I can just see them all sitting around the tent or the campfire or wherever they were at and going, okay, here's the young boy. Here's our younger brother going to tell us the dream. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field. Now, you may have seen pictures of this where wheat gets gathered up together and then a twine put around it and it stands as a stalk. And that's to make sure that the wheat is drying out there. So they were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and did obeisance to my sheaf. I guess it was bowing down, you know, showing deference or showing that particular obedience to it. Verse 8, and his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream. Behold, it was his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moons and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and the father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that thou have dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? You see, this is completely outside anything that they had ever experienced before, as far as their culture. Verse 11, and his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. Even though he didn't like it, he kept it. And he was watching what was going to become of this dream. And his brethren went to feed his father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem, and come, I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. Ever hear that phrase before? Here am I, send me. Yeah. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with thy flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out to the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. See, wandering in the field. The man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, whether they feed their flocks. The man said, they have departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Now, you got to be pretty mad at a person to kill him, but you got to be extra mad to kill your brother. Okay. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Of course, they had completely discounted that this dream could have come from God. All right. This was just this upstart young brother who had really embarrassed them, and so they wanted to kill him. And Reuben heard it. All right. Here's the one brother that's got some sense about it. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said to them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. So he was going to get this killing attitude that they had. He says, okay, let's just throw him in a pit, with the full intentions that he would come back later, get him out of the pit, and take him to his dad. Okay. So he's got a good heart. And it came to pass, when Joseph would come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. I don't know if I would be walking around the wilderness with my dad's gift of coat of many colors, but he did. And they took it off of him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, and going to carry it down to Egypt. With their section of the world that they were in, the stuff that they've got in this caravan is being grown to the east. And the caravans were taking it through Israel, what is now known as Israel, on the way to Egypt to sell it. And Judah said to his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Good idea. We can all agree on that. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. Ever hear that term before? Isn't that the price that Judah was given? Not Judah, Judas. Yeah, Judas. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. So Reuben was gone when they sold him. And when he came back to get him, he's gone. And the renting of the clothes was an oriental way of showing great distress. Okay. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? Tell me where I need to go get him. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in blood. And they sent the coat of many colors. See, they didn't have DNA evidence back then. It was red blood. That's all they knew. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "This have we found. Now, know now whether it be thy son's coat or no." And they, it must have been so covered with blood that they had to get the father to identify the coat. And he knew it and said, "It is my son's coat, and the evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces." Didn't say that it was Joseph's coat, did they? But they allowed the father to be deceived. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning." Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. All right. So God has shown Joseph that he has great plans for him. And he held on to that promise in what could have been the worst life as a slave in prison. Now he's being put into slavery into this guy named Potiphar. And Potiphar recognizes the blessings that God has given Joseph. And he raises up in his house from being a slave to being the administrator of the house. He had all the authority that was in the house over all the rest of the servants. He recognized what was in Joseph, his leadership and his management skills, and he rose him up immediately. At no time did Joseph ever, is it recorded that he complained about his condition. Never, ever complained. Now, why would he complain if he knew that God was going to bless him, was going to bring to pass the promises that he had shown him? Why complain? Will we have the same attitude? God has shown us in his word that we have eternal life, that we're going to be raised from the dead, and that we're going to be wherever Jesus Christ is. We're going to get a new body. Those are all promises that he's shown us. Or have you ever been in the same situation where you've been sold into slavery, that your family wanted to kill you? But Joseph never complained. Why do we complain? What have we got to complain about? All right, so I woke up this morning and my shoulder had pain in it. Do I go around saying to all you folks, I got pain in my shoulder? And not very often. I might tell you something I need you to pray for. But I know that regardless of whether this goes away or not, I get a new body in the end. Brand new, without pain, without ever dying again. That's a lot to be thankful for. Genesis 39, verse 22. So, not belaboring the thing, but Potiphar's wife lies about him. And so Potiphar puts him in prison. And verse 22 says, and the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. So he goes into prison and he gets promoted to be the person who actually administers the prison. Because the blessings and the gifts that God had given him were on display. You see, the devil is always after us, in case you haven't noticed. He has no love for anyone, not even the people that serve him. He hates everybody. He hates everybody, even the ones that go and say, I serve the devil. You know? It's only a matter of time before he destroys them too. So But whatever the devil wants to use to hurt us, God can turn to good. Let's go to chapter 41, verse 28. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. Okay. What God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. All right, now let's catch up here. He's in prison. There's two guys that come into prison from Pharaoh's court, the baker and the butler. And I can't remember exactly right which one was got the good prophecy and which one got the bad prophecy. But one of them was told that he was going to be lifted up and returned to service to Pharaoh, and the other was going to have his head lifted off his body. And the one that got the good prophecy went back with the instruction from Joseph, remember me to Pharaoh. Tell him of the great things that have been happening here for you. And he goes back to Pharaoh's house and he goes right back to work and he forgets all about it. So Pharaoh gets troubled by a dream himself. And so then the guy that was sent back to Pharaoh's house said, I remember a guy in prison that told me what my dream meant. And so none of the magicians and all the people in Pharaoh's employment could tell him what the dream meant. And so he says, okay, go get him. So they pull him out of prison, get him cleaned up, and now he's in the presence. Verse 29, behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. So you got 7 years of greatness and then 7 years of famine. And it's like at the end of that, it's like you never had any good years. Everything is going to be eaten up. And for that, the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh's twice. And is because the thing was established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now, there's a good spiritual principle. When God gives revelation, if he does it twice, that means that it's going to come to pass shortly. Sometimes we're told things by God, and the circumstances change because of believing. You know, they learn from what they're doing wrong and they change, and then the bad thing doesn't happen. Or, you know, in this case, the good thing. But the point is that when God does it twice, when he gives you revelation twice, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen quick. All right. All right. And verse 33. Now, therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that came, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store in the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? See there, he recognized that God was working in him. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath shown thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, according to thy word, shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. He wasn't Pharaoh, but he had all the authority that Pharaoh gave him. Is there any correlation between that and Jesus Christ? Absolutely. Jesus Christ said that God was greater than he, and other parts of the New Testament says that he's going to be Lord over all except over God. Verse 40. Verse 41. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. He made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, "Bow the knee." He made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. You talk about an extreme change. You're in prison. Now you're ruler over all the land of Egypt. That's what God can do. God can do those things. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh. Without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." And Pharaoh called Joseph's name. Now, I looked this up so I wouldn't slaughter it too bad. Soph Nath Path Na Aka. Okay, I have no idea. And he gave him a wife, Ashnath, the daughter of Potiphar. That's not Potiphar, it's Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. That means he was his authority was spread over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was how old?
30.
30 years old. How old was Jesus Christ when he started his ministry?
30.
30 years old. When he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the cities, the food of the cities, the food of the fields, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much, until he left numbering, for it was without number. There are archaeological digs that have shown that they were these great underground. I mean, it was big, like troughs, okay, big troughs that were dug deep down into the earth. And the idea was that they would enter one side, pay for the grain, which was on either side, and then carry it out. That was the storage bins. It wasn't like in this beehive type of things. It was in the ground there. I have no idea what the covering was because that's all gone. But the point is that it's still there today. And once they found it, you know what the Egyptians did? Filled it back in. They filled it back in. All right. So Joseph became number 2 in authority. All right, let's read on. Chapter 42, verse 1. Joseph, when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, remember the famine's going on all over the place, Jacob said to his sons, "Why do ye look one upon another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there was corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from the substance, that we may live and not die." And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, of course, was the youngest son, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, "Lest peradventure mischief fall upon him." And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, but for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly to them. And he said to them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And okay, now he's disguising himself. He's keeping his identity a secret to them.
8.
Verse 8, and Joseph knew his brethren, they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said to them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said to him, Nay, my lord, but for to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said to them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and is not. And Joseph said to them, That is that I spoke unto you, saying, Ye are spies, whereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go henceforth, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. And he put them all together in ward 3 days. And Joseph said to them the third day, This do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison, and go ye, carry corn for the famine to your houses. But bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. I don't know all the ins and outs of why he's approaching it like this, except he's wanting to get his family there. He's wanting to see his brother. He wants to see his family. See, part of the vision Joseph had in the beginning was fulfilled with his brothers bowing down here. Chapter 42, verse 19. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn. Oh, did I already read that?
Yes, you did.
All right, let's go to page 5. Okay, verse 21. And they said one to another, We are very guilty concerning our brethren, in that we saw the anguish in his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore, this distress is come upon us. Okay, they're in the prison, they're in the holding tank, and they're going, This is bad news, and it's because we did this to Joseph. We saw the anguish in his eyes. And Reuben said to them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. Did Reuben tell his dad what happened? No. He let the dad think that Joseph had died. He could have said, Hey, my brethren did this and sold him off into slavery, but he didn't. Now, he didn't go as bad as wanting to kill him, but he also wasn't completely hands clean on the whole deal. And they knew not that what Joseph understood that. Okay, they're speaking in front of Joseph in Hebrew, and They're thinking that Joseph is an Egyptian and doesn't understand what they're talking about. For he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Okay, so that was the brother that was going to be bound. See, they had guilt over what they had done to Joseph. And it touched Joseph's heart when they were speaking this. Joseph gets his whole family into Egypt so he could save them from the famine. So they settled in the best land, the land of Goshen, and there they prospered for almost 400 years. And they grew and they multiplied into over 1 million people. But there was another that came in after the Pharaoh who didn't know Joseph, didn't understand the stories, and they put the children of Israel into slavery. And God remembered the story. Okay. It's a way of saying it was all very much in God's knowledge. And so that's the whole story of the starting with Pharaoh, with Moses. So Jacob dies, but their guilt remained because Joseph had explained to them that he forgives him. Okay. That he wasn't going to kill him. But when their father Jacob dies, now they go, all right, now that dad's dead, he's going to kill us. Their guilt was never put away from their hearts. They didn't accept the forgiveness that Joseph gave them. So they were still afraid. Now he comforts them here. Genesis 50, verse 15. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespasses of thy brethren and their sins, for they did unto thee evil. And now I pray thee, forgive the trespasses of the servants of God of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said to them, Fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore, fear not, I will nourish you and your little ones, and be comforted then. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. Aww. He had forgiven them before, okay? But he reestablished his forgiveness with them because they were in fear. Fear for their lives, fear for the lives of their families. See, in those days, when you had a beef against somebody, many times you wiped out their whole family. There's things that happen to Israel that look pretty bad. They were even carried off into Babylon at times. They were attacked and they were taken and conquered by their enemies. But God did not forsake them. God never forsake his children. They were rebellious. They were rejecting him many times. And there were consequences to that. But he never threw them away. What is happening in Venezuela right now, it's just, there's no way to predict it. But I do know that God will protect his kids. And he may actually make it so that it all turns out better, no matter what happens. But we gotta hold on to that for that country. And I certainly believe that that's true. But the thing about forgiving is once you do it, once you've forgiven somebody, let it be that way. You don't keep bringing it up, saying, I remember when you did this. I remember when you did that. Forgiving somebody is a commitment that you make before God. And when it's truly forgiveness that you're giving, you never bring it up again. And here it was, they were bringing it up, not him. I've heard the term many times, I just can't forgive myself. I don't think that this is a true biblically accurate term. It actually leads people in the wrong direction, that there is no instance in the scriptures that says that we have the authority to forgive our own sins. Or else we didn't need Jesus Christ. We were forgiven because of what he did, not because of what we've done. And you can't take it upon yourself to forgive yourself. This is a kind of a psychology term to describe what guilt feels like. You feel guilty about something and we term it, I can't forgive myself. What you're actually feeling is the feeling that you have because you either hasn't sought forgiveness or you haven't accepted the forgiveness that you've been given. But when forgiveness is given, you're free. You're free of that guilt. You're free of all of that. And here Joseph is again showing his compassion for his brothers to reestablish to them that he had already forgiven them. So Joseph never complained and kept believing that as long as he kept that vision, that God would bring it to pass. So let's keep our heart on God's promises to us. And let us, those things the devil wants to do to hurt us will turn to good. All right. Love ya.